The top story tonight. Earlier today, I spoke with Mr. Trump. So as I said to the audience in the talking points, I think it's just fair to give you an opportunity to reply to the president, who said this today. Roll it.
The notion that he would attack a Gold Star family that had made such extraordinary sacrifices on behalf of our country. The fact that he doesn't appear to have basic knowledge around critical issues in Europe, in the Middle East, in Asia, means that he's woefully unprepared to do this job.
What say you?
I think he's the worst president maybe in the history of our country. I think he's been a disaster. He's been weak. He's been ineffective. You look at this so-called recovery, it's setting record lows. It's, I guess, not since 1949 has there been anything like it. You look at home ownership. Look at what happened as an example. He talks about Ukraine. I believe I know far more about foreign policy than he knows. Look at Ukraine. He talks about Ukraine. Well, you know how tough he is, right? How tough he is with Russia. In the meantime, they took over Crimea. And I understood that. And most papers covered what I said accurately. Some didn't because the press is so dishonest. But Crimea, I mean, the Russians took it over under Obama's very powerful leadership. And, you know, he talks about me with Russia. Wouldn't it be a wonderful thing, frankly, if we actually got along with Russia and worked out some kind of a deal where we go in and knock the hell out of ISIS along with NATO and along with countries that are in the area? Wouldn't that be wonderful as opposed to fighting? But Crimea was taken over, and you know this better than anybody because you were covering it a couple of years ago. It was taken over during Obama's regime, big, tough president. So, look, I think he's one of the worst presidents, maybe the worst that we've ever had in the history of our country. I think that Hillary Clinton maybe she has the potential to be even worse.
Right.
She will be terrible. Look at the lie. Look at the lies. Look at the lie over the weekend that she told about the FBI director. I mean, such a lie. I was listening to it. I said, how can anybody even say that after what was said about her?
Okay.
So I think she has the potential to be even worse.
Let me refocus you back on this Khan situation because the press is running wild with it. In hindsight, wouldn't it have been smarter for your campaign just to pretty much ignore him?
Well, you know, I was watching television. I said, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? And all of a sudden I was viciously attacked on the stage of the Democratic National Convention by Mr. Khan, and I responded to that vicious attack. And what happened is the press took it and made it a big deal, and that's fine. I speak very well, obviously. I mean, there's no greater sacrifice than you lose a son or a daughter, and, you know, in the way that this happened, and I understand that. But regardless, I was viciously attacked. So I think I have the right. Am I supposed to not have the right to at least say something back?
But
and
then when you brought in the mother.
I don't even like talking about it because, honestly, Bill, you just brought it up again, and it's already sort of falling into the background. This was a press event. The press played it day in, day out. CNN, which is totally dishonest. Let me just tell you. CNN, which is a totally dishonest group.
We'll get to CNN
just kept
in a moment.
playing it all.
All right. I can identify it. They did the same thing to me last week because I gave historical facts about how the White House was built.
I saw that, and it didn't stop.
So, look, and they'll never stop. But look, here's what your supporters want to know. And some people are undecided who you need to persuade over to your camp. It wasn't wise to bring the mother in. I understand Khan, and I got that. You know, he's going to come after you, and he was obviously hired by the Clinton campaign to do that. It was orchestrated, as we just said in the talking points. Everybody knew the script. But the mother's just sitting there. And for you to bring her in, that gives them the opportunity. It just opens the door for them to come in and hammer you as this mean kind of guy.
I understand that, but, you know, part of it is I read a lot and I watch a lot. And many, many people discussed this. Many, many people, they said it. So when I said it, it became like a big deal. And that's, you know, the way it is. But I was very viciously attacked, and I said not very viciously back, and the press, especially CNN, I mean, because they're very dishonest. They must be having very bad ratings problems or something, which actually I hear they are. But they just kept it going, and it never stopped. And honestly, it's too bad.
All right, but
Look,
the New York Times then drags out
tremendously unfair.
Right, but the New York Times today drags out
from
on page 1 your Vietnam, draft status.
Yeah.
By doing this, and I had to learn this the hard way with that despicable Al Franken. All right, if you go after somebody and you're punching down, as they say, all right, then the left-wing press is going to seize it and call you a racist and a bully and a sexist. And I mean,
I agree. I agree.
So
I agree.
In the future, you just got to let it go.
You mentioned the New York Times. I'm on the cover of the New York Times like every day, sometimes 2 or 3 stories.
Yeah.
They are so dishonest.
But
First of all, they're totally failing. They're losing a fortune.
They're waiting.
Sure.
See, they should have done the Vietnam thing when you got into that kerfuffle with John McCain. That would have been a time. But they held it because he's a Republican, so they didn't mind you hammering him.
Well, just so you understand, and so your viewers understand, nothing was wrong. I had some academic exemptions. It was a very minor thing. They didn't even talk about the draft number I got. I got a 356, I think it was, draft number.
So they could have taken you in. But before the draft, before the lottery, they had said But it doesn't matter what they said. I mean, I'm just telling you.
What I'm saying, Bill, is this.
They're going to give it to you no matter what.
The New York Times is unbelievably dishonest. They're failing. It's a failing newspaper. It's losing a fortune. Probably it won't be around for more than 2 or 3 years. And, they write and they keep writing. And I believe if they write something wrong, I believe in fighting back a little bit. I don't know if I should. Maybe I shouldn't. But
it depends who you fight against.
So far, it has been working, in all fairness.
If you want to beat me up, remember when you said I needed a psychiatrist? That's fine. People say, yeah, he does.
Well,
Trump's
but
right.
I said it kiddingly. I said it kiddingly.
Yeah. But anyway, you can fight me. You can come at me. But if there's some little Muslim woman who loses her son, you can't. You just can't, no matter what she does. She could set you on fire, and you could say, thank you, I hated those trousers.
I know.
You just got to let it go. All
I
right,
didn't fight her.
Let's hold you over. We'll talk a little
But please
politics.
remember, I was viciously attacked, and all I did was respond to it, and it ends up being a 4-day story.